You think you know how the Comey case is going. Think again. The Justice Department under Donald Trump just got hit with a witness they never expected, someone who turned their entire case inside out. It is not an informant, not a former FBI insider, not even one of Comey's friends. It is someone they once trusted completely, someone who was supposed to deliver the evidence they wanted. That man is John Durham. For years, Trump's circle portrayed Durham as the man who would expose everything, the one who would finally prove that the FBI and the Department of Justice conspired against Trump during the Russia investigation. Durham was supposed to be the hammer of justice, the loyal prosecutor who would uncover a deep conspiracy. But after years of work, millions of dollars, and endless political pressure, Durham found nothing. No crimes, no conspiracy, no evidence that James Comey or anyone in his circle had broken the law. When prosecutors in Virginia contacted him this year about the Comey case, they were expecting support. Instead, Durham told them the truth. He could not find any evidence that supported charges of false statements or obstruction of justice against Comey. That admission shook the foundation of the entire case. Because if the man who spent years investigating the investigators says there is no crime, what is left for the prosecution to prove that moment changed everything. Durham, who once symbolized Trump's pursuit of revenge, has now become the unexpected protector of the man Trump wanted to destroy. His words may be the key that saves Comey and exposes the corruption inside Trump's Justice Department. Let us remember how this began. After Trump lost faith in his own Justice Department, he appointed people who would obey. He named Pam Bondi as Attorney General and Lindsay Halligan, one of his personal attorneys, as the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. Both had one mission to finish what Trump started and bring down James Comey. Before Halligan took over teams of career prosecutors in Washington, and Virginia had already reviewed Comey's actions and concluded that there was not enough evidence to prosecute him. They wrote official memos saying they could not prove false statements. One U.S. attorney even resigned after refusing to sign off on an indictment that lacked evidence. That should have been the end of it. But Trump was not interested in legal standards. He wanted results, and he wanted them now. Halligan overruled the internal memos and filed a 3-count indictment against Comey anyway. The problem was that she could not find prosecutors in her own office willing to work on the case. She had to recruit lawyers from North Carolina just to move forward. That alone tells you how shaky this entire prosecution is. Even people inside the Justice Department wanted nothing to do with it. And then came the real blow. John Durham, the man Trump and Barr had once celebrated as a warrior for truth, ended up saying there was no proof. He told federal prosecutors that, after all his work, all his interviews, all the travel and resources, there was nothing to charge. That statement was like a lightning strike. Durham's words became potential evidence not for the government, but for the defense. If Durham testifies, he could destroy the prosecution's entire narrative. He could say under oath that the charges against Comey have no factual foundation. And even if the Justice Department tries to block him from testifying, it is already too late. The truth is public. Durham's comments are already in the record. Now imagine how that looks. Trump's Justice Department, led by his loyalists, builds a case based on speculation and political anger. And then, their own star investigator becomes the key witness for the other side. It is almost poetic. Pam Bondi has also become a major part of this story. During congressional hearings, she was directly asked whether she spoke to Trump about indicting Comey. She refused to answer. She said she would not discuss any private conversations with the president. When pressed further, she read from her notes, repeating carefully rehearsed lines about justice being independent and fair. But it was clear to everyone watching that she was avoiding the truth. Then Senator Richard Blumenthal asked her about the dinner she had with Trump the night before Comey's indictment was filed. She tried to deflect, saying there were many people at that dinner. But there is a photograph, Bondi smiling, with Trump just hours before the indictment became public. When asked about it, she said only, "I love that picture." That photo has become a symbol of everything wrong with this prosecution. It is not just an image. It is a confession without words. It shows how deeply politics has infected the justice system. Meanwhile, Halligan continues to struggle. Her team is falling apart. She is facing internal criticism for ignoring career prosecutors and pressing ahead with a case many inside the DOJ believe is doomed. Her reputation is collapsing, and her office is losing credibility fast. Now, the Justice Department faces a dilemma. If they block Durham's testimony, it will look like they are hiding the truth. If they allow it, his words will damage their entire case. Either way, the narrative is no longer in their control. And this story is about more than just James Comey. It is about what happens when justice becomes a political weapon, when loyalty replaces law, when prosecutors follow orders instead of evidence, and when truth becomes secondary to power. Before Halligan's appointment, the case against Comey was dead. The evidence had been reviewed, the findings documented, and the conclusion clear. But after Trump's repeated public pressure, things changed. On social media, he wrote, "They are guilty as hell. Do it now, Pam." That was not a request. It was a command. And his Justice Department obeyed. Now, months later, that decision is backfiring. Instead of proving wrongdoing, it is exposing how far Trump's team went to manipulate the system. Bondi's evasive testimony, Halligan's isolation, and Durham's exonerating statement all point to one conclusion. This was never about justice. It was about revenge. The Comey case is collapsing under its own weight. The evidence is weak, the witnesses conflicted, and the motives transparent. The prosecution's credibility is gone. And now the one man who was supposed to confirm their theory has become the biggest threat to it. John Durham's transformation is remarkable. He started as Trump's weapon. He ends as the witness who might clear Comey's name. His investigation, once seen as partisan, now stands as the most powerful rebuttal to the idea that Comey committed any crime. Inside Washington, people are beginning to see the cracks. Even some Republicans are quietly distancing themselves from the case. They know how it looks. They know what it means. A Justice Department used as a personal tool for punishment cannot survive without losing legitimacy. The hearings will continue. The motions will pile up. The arguments will fill the airwaves. But the truth is simple. Durham's honesty has exposed everything Trump wanted to hide. His words prove that no amount of political pressure can manufacture evidence where none exists. And yet, this is not just a courtroom story. It is a warning, because if justice can be weaponized once, it can be weaponized again. Today, it is Comey. Tomorrow, it could be anyone who stands in the way of power. Every image, every quote, every memo in this case tells the same story, that the rule of law in America was twisted by political hands, that prosecutors were pressured, investigations manipulated, and loyalty rewarded over truth. Pam Bondi's smile in that photograph will go down in history as a reminder of that moment. A moment when justice bowed to politics. A moment when the truth was inconvenient. The irony is that the same system Trump tried to control is now exposing him. The same investigators he weaponized are now revealing his abuse of power. The same Justice Department he bent to his will is now unraveling under the weight of its own corruption. James Comey may still face the courtroom, but the real trial is happening in the court of public opinion. And there, the verdict is already forming. People are beginning to see that this case was never about law. It was about control. Durham's refusal to lie, Bondi's silence, Halligan's desperation. These are not the actions of a confident government. They are the signs of collapse. The Justice Department under Trump wanted to destroy its enemies. Instead, it destroyed its own credibility. And so, the question now is not whether Comey will be found guilty. The question is whether justice itself can recover. Can Americans still believe that their legal system belongs to them and not to the politicians who sit above it? As this case moves forward, one truth will remain. Power may control headlines. It may control the courts for a time, but it cannot control the truth forever. The story of the Comey case is no longer about a man accused of lying. It is about a government that lied to itself. It is about the danger of turning justice into a political tool. And when this is over, history will not remember the indictments or the sound bites. It will remember the faces of those who stood for truth and those who tried to bury it. Because behind every statement, behind every denial, behind every carefully rehearsed press conference, there is a single, inescapable truth. They are afraid of what John Durham said.